Karen will be taking notes. Let's again please stick to at least one person speaking at a time, one spokesperson. Currently that's me here tonight on this end.
One for each one again, like we did before.
Okay.
That's fine.
Todd and Melissa.
Well, me, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm Melissa, but it's all good. They confuse us all the time. No big deal.
Okay, basically, we're sticking to the calendar as far as the topics. The first thing up is the 17-18 student calendar. What you see coming around is what came out of St. Joe United, what was posted on the ESB board docs at the last minute, or at the last meeting. And then the second sheet is what I've got as proposed change. And basically took the issues we talked about the other night, went back to several other administrators, first of all, and talked on the parent-teacher conferences. And really we feel the 4 days to allow 2 nights during that same week that we have the day off better corresponds to the quarter's end and better suited to be done that week. The other thing, and I did look at what we talked about dropping to 4 days built in and 2 additional days made up. It was a little bit more convoluted than what I thought, okay? The next simplest solution was to come off the Monday ending school, was basically to add another day off and just extend school till Tuesday, the 22nd of May. That allows graduation to be on the 20th, full day on Monday the 21st, and early out on the 22nd. When we talk early outs, we're talking 2-hour early outs with a work day on Wednesday the 23rd. We also have the summer school work day that I don't have highlighted here, so that's something I've got to make sure happens.
So you're adding the 4th, May 4th as a day off?
We're adding May 4th as a day off, which really, in all honesty, that stretch between the break would have been 6 weeks is a long stretch. So I think that May 4th day really isn't a bad idea anyway. Also, it's a 7th day potential makeup day for snow if we had that many days. So once you hit 7 snow days, if you get that high, you've got to make up 7, okay? And if it goes 8, you only have to make up 7. So really you get 2 days there to play with, so it does kind of act as a buffer there above 6 built-in days. But we ran this by Brian Krause and Wes and Dr. Williams, and they believe it's a very doable and good compromise. Nothing else changed. I just clarified the parent-teacher conferences better than what was originally on the sheet.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We'll do that. That's okay. She's just,
Try not to
David
get
was telling me how like when it takes off, like the fuel comes out the back, so you have to keep it so full of
Because I've
fuel.
heard loud ones, but this one was by
Yeah.
far the loudest.
The suspense is killing me, guys.
Well,
we're still curious why we wouldn't run back to 180. And that would solve a lot of problems. We could end on Friday. It's still gonna be an attendance issue. If we come back Monday, Tuesday, we still got huge attendance issues. We're starting earlier than almost any other district. Now we're ending comparable with a lot of districts, extending out.
But with the days off.
Well,
We don't, I mean, we would rather we'd rather end on a Friday than
Get the 4th.
get the 4th.
we don't see the 4th as
As a
it's
win.
time for EOC testing, things along that line. It's gonna interfere with that, competitions. Then our other issue was with parent-teacher conferences. We asked for 2 possibilities, we got nothing, we're just kind of feeling like,
Well, I can tell you what we can do is then back off 11 days at Christmas if you want to end on 17th or 18th.
But if we eliminate that 4th, then, I mean,
what are we gonna call the 4th? First day of May, or what's the name of that holiday? Is it gonna be the blackout day on either end, or?
It's just it's no different than what the 20th of October would be.
The 20th of October is because of parent-teacher conferences, so we've earned that. The 4th, it comes at a really awkward time. You have primary testing going on, one-on-one. You have, like they said, end of course. AP testing is due around that time.
Either
so
way, you got 6 weeks, it's your longest stretch at the end of school
we understand,
than
but
any other time frame in your calendar.
we understand, but we feel like the staff would, that's kind of an awkwardly placed day with everything that's going on at the end of the year. Also, it is close to the end of the year, so we feel people would view it as, let us just get done. We'd rather be done for the whole year rather than have this awkward day off up here on May 4th.
If we cut back to 10 days at Christmas and took the 4th off, then we could end on Friday. You were already given an 11th day. You said you hadn't been given anything. That was an extra day at Christmas.
Well, I mean, it's a contractual, we're not getting anything, it just extends our school year.
You know, Todd, back when you had 174 days in your student calendar, I went back and checked, one time you guys were at 187. And 180, 181.
Well, they also.
It actually helps if there are any deducts to be at 181 because it's a lesser amount because you're divided by a higher number to individual employees when they have days deducted.
like after their PTO days,
Uh,
for like maternity, so,
That-
like say. you
That's
took
a good
PTO
calendar you have
days.
before you.
So then that's how your paycheck works?
Yeah, you did take your rate of pay, so my salary would be divided between 180 or 181, and that's how much I would pay out each day I was gone after my PTO days, or how I was. I'm not.
But in the big picture, it's pretty small. Compared to the 800 teachers, you're adding that day. But we don't like the 4th. That's just something that teachers are gonna be like, what are we doing this for?
Well, here's another problem with the 4th. We talked about, you gotta look at how many Fridays we have out throughout the year.
You want a Monday off?
Well, I was between block schedule and those types of things, and that's becoming the end of course of different things. That's a lot of Fridays to be missing on specific classes. Elementary is not that big a deal necessarily,
You want the
but it
29th
is
you
for
want the
their
29th You want
specials.
the 29th of March off?
That's just, I don't know what the testing schedule is either.
We've checked, it's predominantly will be after Easter break, after spring break.
Because 5th grade will have 3 weeks of testing, and then we'll have an extra week to make up. Because we have 11 sessions. So I just don't know, I don't want that to cause extra stress on those bigger testing things either.
The other thing is we were looking at student days. Yeah, you're rolling the dice whether you go 164 or 170. But guys, we need those student days too. And I know, if you back off to where it's 4 built in, that takes it down to 168 student days max that you could go. And you keep reducing student days, and that's tough as well.
How many student days do we have this year?
170.
That's what- How many-
It's no different than the 181 that you had this year.
Well, the 22nd, wherever we place it, that half last day, whether we place it on a Tuesday or a Monday is horrible. 10th is gonna be horrific. So what we've fully added here, we've added a full student day and then another half day and extended into the next week. We might as well make the 21st a half day and just dump the 4th, which puts us right back where we were. I can pretty much say I don't know anyone that would wanna miss school on the 4th. There's just no reason. Even though it's a long break, that semester is already shorter.
No, it's still 85 days.
That's the same.
It feels shorter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for teachers, 92, 89. And at that point, you're just wanting to get through it. That's,
Ending school on Monday, Todd, I've been there, I've done it. Tuesday's a better end day. Wednesday's a better end day yet. Monday is not, especially coming off graduation on the 20th. We're ending on Tuesday this year as well.
I'm interested to see how those attendance numbers play this year too.
I'm interested too in seeing how the teacher engagement is as well.
I just want you to know that is a very offensive comment.
Yes.
To assume that our engagement
Exactly.
is low in that blanket statement, it really upset me
There
last
are
time.
issues with our teacher and great
But you
engagement.
can't make a
Alyssa.
blanket statement like that.
It's a general statement, it's not pinpointed at anybody.
It's offensive to the teachers.
Very much so.
I'm just letting you know, that's very offensive.
so is this something else we're gonna throw on the plates now with teachers? We got an evaluative structure that doesn't allow not available. Now we're gonna say, now we expect you to engage these students and meet all areas of your evaluation at all times, excuse me.
We're working both ends.
We're wanting to engage you at every moment, every time. We also want you to increase rigor. We want you to hit all these parts of your slow plan, and now we expect you every moment of every day to fully engage your students on top of your curriculum, on top of everything else. Now we want you to engage your students and make this the most exciting thing of their day when you got to do constant testing to see where they're rated and then somehow raise that testing. That sounds like a pretty much impossible task.
Off topic.
It all ties in, I get it. Let's focus on the calendar, okay?
Could I interject something? I understand the ending on the Monday, that's bad. I see what you're saying about not wanting to go longer with the Monday or Tuesday. We could still end on a Friday if we move the 8th PD/workday to the 5th, and then take out the 4th, and you would end on a Friday,
The 5th of
5th of January.
January.
So it would be 10 days off at Christmas instead of the 11. That would seem to, that gets us to where we end on a Friday.
I thought that was
You
pretty
can't have it
sacred
all.
to everybody.
Here's the
No.
deal. Either they come back on the Friday and be griped because they're coming on Friday, this is from United SJSD, or they go the Monday, Tuesday at the end of the year. You can't have it all. So if we do that, you're gonna get to end on Friday like you want. And yes, teachers will come back that Friday for a PD day. Is that switching for coming back on the 21st and 22nd, or what? I mean, because you can't, there's gotta be some give.
So does that 5th then become the PD/workday
Yes.
instead of?
Well, yeah, we're willing to go on that, whatever teacher workday back after Christmas break. We're willing to make that 50-50, a half-day workday, half-day PD. Currently, right now, it's the 8th of January scheduled. Whatever day that lands on.
Now, understanding teachers will come back that Monday, the 21st, is that right? Yeah, but the
Yeah,
kids
so-
will end on
but-
18.
Well, if you back it off,
The
you
attendance
could
is
end, you could end on Friday.
Everybody?
Yeah, you could end,
Well, no, there's no
the
teachers.
work day still would be the 21st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christmas break on Monday, full days.
And that's getting, closing out their year.
We,
Great.
if we, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but
There's lots
if we
of
do
stuff.
that,
Check
that means
out
the
receipt.
kids are starting Monday the 8th for a full week of class, coming back from Christmas break.
Right.
That was a concern we'd have.
Tammy makes a good point. I've never been in calendars negotiations or I've been doing it now for 16 years or whatever it is now. You can't make everybody happy. I had 2 teachers last night at Hy-Vee come up to me and they didn't want to start school as early. The only way to do that is to either cut down your Christmas break or cut down the number of student days.
Or end later in January.
Well, and
Semester.
Dr. Newhart, how about the other note I sent you about taking that 4th and putting it on the 29th of March, extending
Yeah,
spring break?
I offered
Then
that.
we can leave Christmas break like it is, have your work day on the 8th, half and half.
Say that again, Tammy.
Okay, take the 4th of May that you don't want off, which I understand that as a teacher, that's a bad time because,
It's
but
just, yeah, with testing.
put it on Thursday, the 29th of March. Now you have Thursday, Friday, prior to the Easter weekend and all of spring break. So we just added an extra day to your spring break.
Well, we have testing coming up though, with teachers being held
That's
accountable
true.
on that. We really gotta think about extending that because it's gonna hurt on testing.
Did you say that testing window was April?
Yeah, it's after,
9?
It's after
we have
spring
plenty
break.
of time after spring.
But you're talking about preparing students for
prepare.
testing, and I understand that too.
My experience, guys, and let's stay focused here too. My experience is that kids and staff both have appreciated a break in and around that last of April, 1st of May.
Instead of a Friday, what about Monday, April 30th? That's a Monday.
This is with your testing, correct?
And that's
I
probably in
don't
the
know
testing
when-
window.
Well,
yeah.
the problem with that is I personally don't know when everything has to be done and in. And I know 5th grade is the biggest testing, elementary wise, and we have 11 sessions. And so depending, if we start the 9th right off spring break,
I'm looking it up to make sure. We looked it up and we felt like we were,
I know, I thought we talked about that.
Dr. Williams was very in support of a May 4th compromise date.
You could also put May 4th on December 21st. That would extend your break to 12 days.
that would shorten first quarter.
Yeah. See, there's just,
If we
we've
could
got-
move
we have
May,
about 3 scenarios
May
out
4th
there.
and put it on the 22nd, the 21st.
we could move May 4th to the 9th, to the 8th, and then we can put it on the 9th. May 4th right there.
I'm trying to keep
Kids come
the,
back the 10th.
what you came out of SJSD United with and intact.
Is there a reason we couldn't end on a Monday? Because that's what we said in
Well,
United, we'd end on a
in-
Monday.
Yeah, in
Right.
United, we were gonna end on a Monday, but I don't know, we've seemed to have.
And that was with graduation on the 13th.
No, we asked to bump it to the 20th.
I'm the one that brought it to the 20th.
We brought it up in United.
I don't understand how I mean, whether it's on the 13th or the 20th, we could still end the 21st. I don't know that that really plays a factor in ending on a Monday. It's,
That last half day is gonna be a disaster, whether it's on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever, attendance wise.
Only if we let it be.
Well, I
again,
know,
we
that
only have
sounds,
so much in our control on that.
That's
hill.
right, you only have.
And
we
that
can-
has to be recognized, that we
Yeah.
only have
And,
so much control.
and we do our best, and how big of a hit, Dr. Newhart, do we take on, from the state money-wise, if attendance is really low?
I'll let Wes answer that question.
and we could have a fun day.
Depends on
that's-
how many you're missing. I mean, your ADA is so much per student.
Need to ask
What we
you.
figured that
Clown-
$27 per
Clown
student.
Day cost us about $27,000.
And we had what, 1,200 students going?
Clown Day.
You figure you'll probably have about the same kind of attendance.
I mean, the engagement on that day, if we're gonna do something like that, it would be some kind of a school-wide activity, and a half-day would work well. I mean, we've done that in the past, organized activities. Whether that falls on a Monday or a Tuesday, you might have more luck on a Monday than a Tuesday. I mean, I really feel the kids, if they're gonna skip Monday, they're gonna skip Tuesday. It'd almost be better to say, hey, we're gonna have this really fun day Monday, last time we see each other. Let's come in, let's have a big school-wide celebration. You'd have more luck getting them there on a Monday than you would on Monday and a Tuesday. I think they're just gonna take off Monday and Tuesday. We can't engage with that kind of stuff for Monday and Tuesday, but we could one day.
That's my concern about this year is that
Yeah.
they won't come Monday, Tuesday. If they're not gonna come Monday, they won't come Tuesday.
Well, then let's do this, we'll go ahead and back off the Christmas break so we can end on, Friday. That's then the best solution.
What's wrong with the original United calendar? If we
I'm
don't do
not
the
gonna
4th,
support it.
so we can't end on a Monday? Is that the big deal breaker? We can't end on a Monday?
I'm not gonna support it on a Monday, guys.
So even though the entire team of SJSD United
Decided, yeah.
came to a consensus and agreed that we were willing to do that, you're not gonna support the staff as a whole? Because it wasn't just the 4 of us deciding that, it was a whole group representing the entire staff.
It's not best practice.
Well, I mean, I guess if we're gonna do that, we'll just let you make the decision.
No, I mean, there's a lot of things in here that you guys have done a very good job with.
Such as, I mean, we asked for
Well,
conferences, we got
11
nothing on that. We asked for,
Well, we're supporting the 11 days at Christmas. I don't know if that's the best practice, Todd.
But you were willing to add a day to spring break.
Just to help get the Monday day off. You know, in theory, again, you have 6 days built in. You might not work. We did last year, typically on the average, what did I say last time, Tim Ellis, 3 to 4 days. You really, in any average year, are getting paid for 181 days,
Yes.
but only working typically 168, 167. We're starting
That doesn't
school,
add up
we're starting
mathematically.
school midweek on the 16th in August. I mean, there's a lot of good things to this calendar that St. Joe United has come up with.
What was our first day this year?
It was on a Monday.
Well, was it the week before? Because
It would have been like, on this calendar, it would have been the equivalent of the 14th. It was like the 15th, I think,
okay,
this year.
so we started 2 days. Yeah, we gave those extra couple of days so that we wouldn't have a full week.
And that's right,
The
and that's why we
first week of
pushed it, because we
school.
were
That's
supposed to go
right.
on Christmas break on the 20th, is that correct? The 19th or the 20th?
can't
And we thought it was the same boat there, was if we were supposed to get out early on the 19th of December, oh, you have a day and a half again, here we're in that boat in the first semester as well, are they gonna even come for that day and a half? No matter how much fun we make it, we still can't physically force
You have
them
no
to come to
control.
school, that is just the reality. So that's why we pushed that back, was because we thought, then that gives us 4 days, and it should help attendance be better, because they'll see it more as a full week than short
So
week.
let me ask you guys, making the 5th that work day, so teachers will come back on January 5th, is gonna be more upsetting to them than having kids come on Monday, the 21st and 22nd? I mean, that was a,
Well, the 21st is.
I mean, then ending up with
Is
kids on a
it
Friday.
180, is 181, or ending on Monday or Tuesday?
Well, the 180 would solve a lot of these problems, I mean, but the main concern is, I think, that is the blackout situation on Christmas break. If somebody's gone that second week, they can't really miss that. They can't miss that PD on Friday. That's why, you know, I know from representing people, they're gonna be, well, I'm gonna go out of town and I'm gonna use that full time, but I have to come back for that PD day.
And
That's
where
the
we're at.
concern about that Friday. It isn't that people are all, the people that are here, I don't think have any issue with it, but we also have to represent those people that are going to be out of town. It's a great chance for them to go visit somebody.
Let's go talk. We'll go caucus.
She'll be back. She had to run to the restroom.
I don't know how that goes. I forgot to take my phone and it didn't ring, did it?
Nope, I didn't hear it if it did.
Okay, thank you.
We were gonna tweet from Dr. Newhart's phone, but he came and got it, so we couldn't do that.
Do what?
We were gonna tweet from his phone, but he
Oh.
came back and got it, so.
Always happens.
I have too many projects going through.
Basically, we see two scenarios in trying to keep the efforts of St. Joe United in play. One is basically what you originally have with the school out on the 21st, just like you have it. The second scenario would be to back off your student days to 169, end on Friday. That would make two teacher work days, one on the 21st of May. The second we would prefer to move to
The ninth.
Wednesday, August 9th, at the start of school. That would give you 5 built-in snow days. And then obviously, if you had to make up any days, they would have to be tacked on then that following week of May. However many days that would be, 6, 7, 8.
The problem with tacking work days onto the front is you still have your secondary teachers who need to work in their rooms, and then it could be 110 in their room. And that might be a problem anyway. That's the problem I see with adding one in the front.
So then you have a choice to stay with the original calendar that we came up with in United.
We could use that time at the front though too.
So in those days at the beginning, are we going back to convocation type thing, or are we still gonna do, you know, regular work, or, I mean,
No,
I don't, that's just me shaking my head.
I'm not looking to go back to convocation.
okay, good, good.
Ken,
Would it be specifically stated as a work day? Because I could see teachers saying, okay, I know that that's a protected day to work in my room, the 9th. It could not be anything else, not principals get to decide. This is a day just to get your room ready for the year.
and for the back-to-school nights, which is one of
Correct,
the big
yeah,
issues
getting
that
it-
I've heard.
getting
that'd
it
be-
ready for that.
That'd be okay, I mean, that would be, we
So
can always
you're-
use the time at the beginning.
You're
That's-
convincing me that you guys think that's a good day at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I would think so too.
I think we went from 5 to 4, one of those days was that dang convocation, and it just ate the day up. I don't think we ever had any problem with the 5 work days, it's just that one of them was a wasted day to convocation. I think you're right, I think that's a good choice.
And then school ends on Fridays, teacher come on Monday, and
Be done.
Clean up,
that's
yeah.
the,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
get
mean,
checked
teachers would
out.
still have to come back on Monday.
Get checked out.
I think if you're worried about attendance, it's a better deal to end on a Friday.
Yeah.
You're much more likely, because you have that whole week to talk up that day. They're not gonna have 2 days to stay at home and be like, oh, my summer can start now. I haven't missed very much at all this year, so I'm just gonna stay, you know? Because if they're gonna miss Tuesday, they're gonna miss Monday,
It still
generally.
keeps the teacher contract length at 111, or 181, reduces 1 to 169 on student days.
But
But that could happen anyway.
Yeah.
Right. It's
And-
better for the students, it's better for the teachers, this method.
it's not a true 181, because when they're going like 4 to 7 and on conferences, that's 6 hours, not 7.5
Yeah, I
hours, so
think
they're
it-
gaining an
not
hour and a
necessarily
half
if you went
there.
Hour for hour, you're right.
And then the half a day at Christmas and the half a day the last day of school, those hours. So, I mean, it's really like 180 something, something.
Right. You're
Not a
right.
full 181.
You're right.
So it's not a bad deal for you, I don't believe.
Well, it depends
Just-
on how big my class is and how early I have to come in for other conferences.
So then the 18th would, which the last day of school would be still an early out.
Yes.
Are we eliminating the 4th then? So it's essentially
The
this,
fourth would be eliminated.
it's essentially the first calendar, we have the 9th as a teacher workday protected, and we end school on the 18th and teacher workday on the 21st.
Yeah.
So it's this calendar with just those changes.
And it didn't touch your Christmas and your Monday PD day, and half workday, half PD
Yes.
on the
And
8th.
That's much better.
Christmas break is still 11 days.
Fine with that.
11 and a
That's
half.
better.
Just for clarification purposes, because this has always kind of been up in the air, so that early out on the last day of school, because we have to come back that Monday for a work day, would teachers be allowed to leave when students leave? Or will we be expected to
It'd
stay?
be a 2-hour early out, whatever time frame, what is it, 20 minutes
After the,
after?
Just making sure, because sometimes we've been expected
follow
to
that.
stay till our full contract day.
It hasn't been
just-
That's how I'm
consistent.
applying
Right.
it this year.
Okay.
I need to
Okay.
make sure I get that
yeah, that's good.
communication out here before December. But,
Most teachers are gonna stay, because
Yeah.
there's a heck of a lot of stuff to
But I
do
can
at the
also
end
see
of the-
people saying, well, I have to be here all day Monday, so I'm gonna go.
Right.
If they wanted to, they could.
It's an option.
Yes.
I'm a little on.
is that what you're telling me then you're in agreement to?
you feel-
I think so. I think it's definitely better. We can use time at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it'll improve student
As
achievement,
long
just
as
let
that
more
night,
time.
as long as that's a protected day.
Yeah. So really, we're gonna have two, because before we had a protected day under 4, so that would be 2 protected days or 1. 'Cause I almost feel like 1 day wasn't enough to really get ready, in my
So do we
opinion.
wanna say the 9th and 10th would be protected and PD couldn't start until, or do we want one,
Or
the
like
9th through the
football.
11th and one through the 14th and 15th?
I mean, it's just
I'll make the 15th protected.
So the
That'd
9th
be-
and the 15th?
19th
Yeah.
and 15th.
I think
Protected.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
that'll work. 9th and 15th are protected.
That way we can
That's good.
actually plan if we.
Yes. That'd be good.
Because
That would help.
that new science we bought, the test lines with that now,
Oh my
Still
God.
after
2
next
days
year.
of
Yeah.
PD.
Yep, that's
So
fine.
it'd be nice to.
One thing I wanted to interject, I was a little disappointed that you guys had brought additional calendar requests, that nothing was said at United SJSD when we talked about that for an hour and 45 minutes. I kind of feel like those circumvented the process a little bit, and I don't know if it just didn't surface as suggestions while we were talking about that. but-
What one specifically?
Well, taking the parent-teacher conferences to 2 weeks, that, and the other things, I don't know that those were those brought up at
The
United
conferences
SJSD?
that, with the half day, we had brought up.
But spreading them over 2 weeks, was
No,
that?
no.
But I think that came out of
As a
conferences.
compromise,
Well,
Right.
and conferences hadn't happened this year yet, so as you live through conferences, then people start coming up with ideas. And the conversation the other day started with, because it wasn't written that districts were gonna, or buildings were gonna get to choose, it was that they're going to be on this day and this day, so that's how the conversation started, and it just kind of
Okay.
evolved from there.
Well, we saw some issues with it right up front where people still didn't have enough time. And it mainly affects teachers. That's the primary.
Well, it
person
affects everybody in your building. Your
It does.
custodians are
Yeah.
there, your secretaries, your
Right.
administrators.
So,
So when something like that happens in the future, I would think then that we would just defer that as something to think about for the next year, but not try to work it into, I mean, I agree, because I think that needs to go.
now, some of these rewrites that I have in the proposed changes, like the PT conferences, to be determined by buildings, will go, because I didn't make any changes to what
Yeah.
came out of SJSD United.
and I think that was an understanding anyway,
Okay.
it wasn't,
Right, but
it
I
wasn't
don't,
written correctly.
none of us were trying to circumvent anything, it was kind of, we now have lived through conferences, the discussion came up, so now we're gonna have a discussion about it, what are some other options? Because at the elementary level, 4 to 7 realistically isn't enough if you have a large class. There are not enough time slots unless you are going to go from 4 to 7 back to back.
And there's still not.
And then, and people like Alyssa have had to come in early off of contract time to get conferences in because
I did
there's
that
physically not enough time.
26 years.
And
So
get
we're,
no breaks.
That's what you do.
no, yeah, and then you're still going, yes, 3 hours with no breaks. So we're trying to brainstorm, not circumvent a system.
Okay.
We're the ones in the trenches, so we're not trying to circumvent, we're trying to give you real life.
Five
Feedback.
built-in snow days, anything after 5 will be tacked on at the end of the year, which will take it to the following week.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get this re-typed up then. I'll send it back out to this group, okay, to review for one last time, so you can take it back to St. Joe United on the 17th.
Dr. Newhart, would you want to say at Christmas break, since we said the last day of school, early dismissal, we would want to say the 22nd early dismissal in that description, just so it wouldn't be confusing
Yeah, I've got that
anywhere.
on.
It is on the. it's the
Oh, I'm looking at
21st
the-
one.
That's what I meant, the rewrites
21st early dismissal,
would
okay.
apply.
I'm looking at this one
Right.
instead of this one, okay.
Any other questions?
And graduation is on the 20th, no matter what. Is that just so that it's, or would graduation stay on the 13th if you're staying with this original calendar?
I think
The
it's
20th.
final
No,
20.
I'm just making
That's
sure,
right.
I'm just making sure.
That's you.
You
I would
agree
not
with that, Eric?
want
I
that.
agree. I think that sounds,
You wouldn't want that on Mother's Day.
No.
no.
No, that, the,
And I think it's.
really,
I
the
think it's better to
proposed
have-
change calendar applies by removing May 4, by removing the 23, 22, 21 of May is staff workday, 18th is school out, 20th of graduation stays, and workday it comes back to the 9th and 15th are protected. Okay.
So with regard to conferences, there's no movement on that, it's just gonna stay the same?
You have 4 days to choose 2 nights.
Isn't that new for this year? That you get to choose the nights?
This year we have.
This year, yeah.
How'd that
Was
work
it
out?
last year? No, we chose last year, didn't we?
No.
No.
No, it's the first year.
We liked it better
Yeah.
in my building. I don't think we've had time to ask. Our meeting will be next week, so.
Some of my teachers that are parents that have students in other buildings, they said that it was nice. They were very pleased with that.
Yeah, we did hear that from our families.
So I guess to answer your question there, I'd rather leave it. This is a draft. Same thing applies here of the 12-month employee calendar. The one that came out of St. Joe United and then the proposed change one. Really, guys, I didn't change hardly any at all outside of the issues with the 261 and 260. The additional paid off day for November 22nd. And then also applying just the language so that at least we get it understood that to go back to a 4-day work week except for the weeks of July 3rd and May 28th would be true 40-hour weeks, so those would be 8-hour days on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of July and the 29th through the 1st of June. You still would get 7 weeks of 4-day work weeks for the rest of June and July. I would not start it until that week of June.
Yeah, the first week.
Well, currently, the end of this year, that June is 5 days.
It's 5 days.
Yeah, this is for the next.
This is for June
So it
of
won't start till
18.
July then?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
That's, yes, thank you for clarifying.
And then basically everything else was the same. I did move, New Teacher Institute, I didn't think that, I still have a question on those dates, but it's August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And Secretary's meeting is at Monday the 7th. Teacher's report would now have to be August 9th.
Now, can I ask a question? for the 12-month staff that have time off, if they choose to not come in on, like, the last 3 days,
Yeah,
the other people, I mean, we're not gonna black those dates out.
They can take vacation
They
days.
can take vacation days.
Or their
do that.
3,
Or their
They can't take their
PTOs.
PTO days, those are blackout days, you can only take vacation days.
You can take vacation days.
I think
Can
that
you-
whole
can you-
blackout issue is something else that needs to be addressed later, if that's the case.
Okay, and then
Currently, the way it is right now, they can take vacation
they can take
days.
vacation days, or can they
In order
just
Can they
take it
do
without
a
pay?
unpaid day?
they can take it without pay, that came up.
That was a question that they had.
That's like not showing up to work.
So is that
It's not an
a-
approved day off.
So that would be a strike against them, so we would say that we would not
Well,
want
I
that to
think, I
happen?
think that would not be the most desirable situation. Our PTO policy does say that if there's excessive absences, and it lists those at the very first paragraph. I certainly, as an employee, wouldn't want to recommend to them that they do that very much.
But I'm just saying that, say, you know, somebody, because of the way this falls, they couldn't go like the week of Christmas, but that next week they could actually go out of town. It may, that
We
may
need
be
to
able
plan on those things and use their vacation
Well,
days
they have 3
accordingly.
personal days in their PTO, they could take them then,
This is a 12-month employee calendar with,
couldn't they?
You can't take a PTO day before or after a holiday, and there's certain blackout days.
With-
Those are
without-
PTO.
Isn't that what was said?
Without approval,
That
but
was-
that was a big
if they
question,
have those
remember?
3 days available,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna have more latitude to do that.
Okay, well, let's. if we could-
Correct us if we're wrong, but I believe at SJSD United, they were told they could take them unpaid if they wanted to do that.
That was one of the,
Either was approved.
one of the things we talked about.
The options.
Yeah,
being-
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
to say now that they can't, I'm pretty sure at United it was kind of,
I just
the
wanna-
message was that they could.
Well, I just think that we need to be clear with.
If they take it unpaid and just call in that they're not coming into work without some prior notice and approval and reasons,
Can come
guys,
back
come on.
That's not acceptable, no.
You're not.
No, but
gonna
if this
say
was
approved.
pre, this was
Doing that.
No, we're talking
pre,
approved.
Yeah,
This
not
was
like,
like
I'm not
done
coming
ahead
in
of
today.
And Julie's biggest question was, could they use their PTO days too, and
Well,
their vacation?
Those would be, again,
Those
it
3.
requires the double approval.
Right, the approval, and I think that's where it went, that conversation went from being not paid, because I really don't believe they don't wanna be paid, because they're gonna lose a lot of money,
Right.
to using PTO and not being refused their PTO.
I just
Am I
think that we
right?
just need to be really clear with it.
We just didn't think it would be best to, like on that week after July 17th, in order to follow federal guidelines, which are being scrutinized for anyway, you don't want to come in Wednesday and Thursday and work 2 12s.
No, and I think this is good, I don't think there's a bit of wrong asking.
With them understanding why this is happening, I think that people will understand.
You know, before, they were basically paid like on the holiday, like it was on the 4-day weeks, where a holiday fell, like it was a 10-hour day. And that's not, we can't get by with that, with the audit
Yeah.
and their eyes on it.
That's
The thing is, they're getting back their 10-hour or 4-day work weeks, and so if
That's
they
right.
wanna complain after we're being generous enough to give that, then they better complain to somebody
We're getting
else.
7 weeks of 4-day work weeks.
I just-
Granted, they'll
I-
work their time,
I just
but-
ask that we clarify and make sure so that they are aware of these are the options that you will be able to take if you want off.
I think that's something
At
that
Christmas
Mr.
and at
Kraus will
spring
want to
break.
address later with
Yes.
the leave
At
policy.
United.
Wes, did you have something that you wanted to add to that?
When I said they could take time off, anybody can take time off, but it doesn't mean that they won't be disciplined for it. That's where Brian was, kind of, you could do anything you want. You don't want to come to work, don't come to work.
Well, we were talking about pre-planned
That
absences,
wasn't the message that
not,
was
Yeah,
given
right.
in that meeting.
it
That
wasn't
wasn't
like, hey, I'm not coming in
communicated,
today and
right.
it's a blackout day. It was, I pre-planned this and so my options are use vacation or I could have the doc pay. It was pre-planned.
So,
Was what we understood.
It's like the snow days, it was our understanding, we were told, well, you can just not get paid, not come in. Well, I mean, maybe they got to shovel snow or something along that line. So, I mean, that all needs to be clarified and be written in black. I mean, just protect
Well, you
yourselves.
always have that last decision. If it's an issue on a snow day with, safety coming in,
Right.
or those types of things.
You know, it does need to be written down, what do we need to do here? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
'cause
very unclear.
I would like a little more clarification on the snow days, because there have been times when no one should have been coming
cold
in to
days.
any building
Right.
in this district in the past, because it has been that dangerous. So I don't want people to throw a fit if you say there's ice on the roads, no one come in. I want everybody to be able to feel safe. I don't want somebody coming in and it be dangerous for them to
No,
get
he
to
has the
work.
authority to cancel no school, and at that point, we pay everybody. So like several years ago, when
Ice
we had that
storm hit.
huge blizzard where the
Yes,
state was shut down for 3 days, everybody paid all their people, because you couldn't get out and move around.
So-
Superintendent had the authority to cancel school, and we just paid everybody their normal rates.
So there's two
Well,
tiers
I'm
of snow days.
pretty
Yeah.
good about that.
Yeah, he'll take care of it.
If you have a snowstorm, you can't get dug out, if it takes almost a half a day to a day to dig out.
Right.
That you just wait till the following day to
Right.
bring everybody back in.
And the ice storm situations we've had where for a week it iced, I don't know if you guys
And then
remember
have
that.
electricity.
Well,
No
yeah,
electricity.
We started back to school before everybody had electricity.
Right.
You good with the 12-month then?
We are. We just had a question on procedurally, in the sense that there's four of us at this end of the table, and it seems like it would appear that board and administration is on one side and teachers are on the other, and I just want to clarify that point as to how we're doing this. If, we want to talk to school board members, can we talk to school board members in caucus, or is that a right only reserved for administration?
I think in this scenario, as a negotiation team, Todd, that as a board member, really on this, as an individual board member, they don't carry any authority anyway. And you really need to deal with the superintendent in that case. Now, ultimately, does it go to the board? Yes, all this is gonna be approved. I think what you say to one person needs to come through the superintendent or Dr. Kraus back to this team. If you had asked for Dr. Kraus and myself, would fully understood that.
Well, and that's what is the clarification, I guess, in the sense of, since they're not actually acting as a board member, but as an individual.
They're here representing the board as individual board members.
Okay, so in clarification, if this group here were to ask again, can we have the board members come in on a certain point?
We'd say no.
Even if it's
Then-
a united clarification.
That needs to be clarified, and,
We
it's a
need to think about
justification.
that, because it's the same difference if you say to us, what do you think the rest of the board would go with?
Exactly.
They could say to us, what do you think
So-
we'd have to be careful with, I don't know. Dr.
From-
Kraus, you've done negotiations for years. What are you thinking? Would you put a board member in that spot? I don't want to be put in a bad spot as a
From
board
our
member.
view, if
wouldn't
we
be
can't
allowed.
take them in, you probably shouldn't be allowed to take them.
Right.
We're coming at the same issue from two separate sides. So if one side can't talk to them in a caucus, the other side shouldn't be allowed to either. So it should either be we both can visit with you, and at the time you were the only one here, that's why, or we would have taken both of you, or none of us do. I would think that would be fair.
And we
Well,
gotta-
that didn't come up last year, so you
Well-
you
We
surprised
didn't,
me
we,
on that one.
yeah.
Well, in the appearance, this is all about, we want to have the appearance of fairness, in the sense of it has to be equal for all parties. And so it's going to be perceived as, well, boy, administration's got loaded for bear here. Not only they get to run the organization, run the meeting, but now they can take school board members into a closed session, quiet session. And I think for the appearance of it, we need to make a decision on what would be the best policy here going forward.
Well,
Procedure.
if they're strictly an observation role, I would take that to be they would remain out of any caucus.
So moving forward, is that their role?
I think that's what needs to be interpreted, that's what you're asking.
Yeah, it would be good to have a clearer clarification at this point.
Let me throw this in there. Having been a teacher negotiator, it'd probably be wiser to allow us to be with both groups, because otherwise, there's gonna be talk outside of this group, because you guys are gonna be texting us or calling us or whatever. We haven't done that yet, and I don't want us to as we move forward with United SJSD, but that's what happens, isn't it? Because you're wondering, at the same time, they're wondering what the board is gonna think.
Yeah.
You're wondering what the board is
Well,
gonna think.
and that's really what it was.
So to
was
keep
more
it
of a
amongst this
reference.
group,
It
it
is.
might be better if we go with both groups,
We're-
but not to give input.
Well, I would say,
at the end
I
of
would
the
say
year.
not to be in either caucus. That's what I would say. If it needs to be said, it needs to be said out in front of both groups at the same time.
Well, I mean, we're all three separate entities. That's what we are. They're independent, you're independent, we're independent. And it really
I'm not
wouldn't
so sure why
hurt.
we're here if we're not gonna.
Right, and the idea of
Being on
this
decision
meeting
making.
with the group really wouldn't be a negative thing. You're just asking for input of an outside source. It'd be no
perception.
difference, right? It'd be no different than if Joe Hadley was here, you would have the right, even though he works for the school board. You could ask Joe Hadley in for an opinion.
That's who I
there.
work for.
Right. And so Joe Hadley works for the board, but you could ask him to go in and get an opinion at the same time. We, even as employees, could theoretically ask Joe
That's because
Hadley
he
for
is
an
true,
opinion.
that is because he is truly an independent third party. They are not.
They are. The board's their own, they can do their own thing. We all work for them.
Exactly, and they need to hear
They
all of
hire,
our.
they hire a superintendent and administrators to run the district, Todd.
All right? But they're the ultimate boss. I mean, I don't mean it in
Policy-
that say, but
policies.
Policies. That's
Right.
all the only thing they're boss over is the policies, right?
And the superintendent.
And superintendent.
And the public perception too.
Yeah.
The outside educator.
I mean, I don't oppose here tossing out that's why I said no, was my original gut feeling.
Right.
Can
Thought
we check with
process.
Joe with on that? Joe
Yeah,
Hadley
we
on
told
that?
you.
And do you have an opinion? Because you have worked in these groups before.
That would never have been allowed in the negotiations that I've done.
Would they have been out of both groups?
It's seen as two groups in Kansas. There's the representatives for the Teachers Association and there's the representatives for the board, which includes the board, superintendent, and whoever his or her designee is.
I would gather that's what Joe would tell you too.
Okay, could we just
But
clarify?
we'll ask him.
Because that's never come up before, because, well, of course, last year was the first time I was on meeting
Well, we
conference.
didn't
I'd have to go
United
back and
either,
reread the
so-
policy to really, the St. Joe United.
And this is a much more informal process than, the negotiations
Last
you're
year.
talking about are very, very formalized and what you do. And this is a little different. I think the idea here is to come to the best possible solution
For everybody.
for everybody. And I think the more open we can make this, the better off we'll be going forward. It's not like we're conspiring, we're just asking information.
Well, and we wanna make sure when we caucus
Well,
that we're just looking for, make sure we're all four on the same page before
Right.
we say, okay.
There's been a lot of concessions made in this that I still wonder if it's best for students in this calendar. Okay? And that does concern me because ultimately that's what we're here for.
Well, I think what we ended with is best for, I don't have any.
I feel better about
Anthony
it
says that.
I agree.
than the current.
And can you explain what concerns you have? Because I thought we were all under the understanding it was really a pretty good outcome.
It's a good calendar. I mean, just the number of student days, the length of breaks. I don't know if I've ever seen a perfect calendar though either.
Yeah.
There's not one. We're all convinced of that.
And they all change every year too, so.
So we'll get this reread and get it sent back out November 17th as your SJSD United. We really need to, we're running on a tight time frame. But
you
hopefully
really-
the 21st is when we're
Gonna vote on it.
gonna vote on it, right?
Or was it actually on there for a vote, not just a hearing?
So you got the hearing?
Good vote.
Good,
Bring in them,
good. We'll be ready. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in its final form now as far as
I
we're
mean, do you guys
concerned,
take
right?
this to the rest of the board and say this is what was said and this is what, how do
well,
you guys
the night of the
take
board
the
meeting-
information? I mean, do you communicate with other board members about like
The
this
night of the
before?
board meeting, when it's on the
So like.
agenda,
days
if there's
before,
questions or whatever, I would assume as committee members, just like policy, we've been posting policy lately, if anybody had questions on policy. the three of us could answer that. I would assume that's when that discussion would come. Not that, maybe Brian or Chris or somebody might not email us in the meantime when they start reviewing board agenda.
Well, we talked to
Well,
our
and
members
they'll-
too, that's why I was curious
Yeah.
how you
So I'm
guys.
sure
It's on the board
functioned.
docs well before, and so if they have questions, they can always.
Yeah, they email us or call us or whatever.
Because it has to be posted
Kinda
like
like
that
that.
Wednesday before.
Yeah,
That's what we always shoot for,
Wednesday or
By 5.
Thursday, I think.
4 or 5, something like that. So, yeah.
Thank you for
So can
providing
you
this.
just-
Sorry I kept throwing them at you.
But just if you could just clarify with Joe.
I didn't have paper last time. I can't keep my mouth shut. I'm getting better.
I think, we probably need to, have the SJSD United policy with us, even at these meetings.
Yeah.
And two, are you telling them you're just gonna do the calendar and Dr. Kraus is
Well,
gonna step in?
Yeah, basically what happened here, Dr. Kraus was gone on Monday, and we had been back and forth. And so when we met, when was it, Wednesday? We'd been working on it, we didn't get a chance to talk Monday. Coming out of that meeting, that's why, I've taken this lead, just particularly with the Missouri calendar rules. But fully expect Dr. Kraus to be negotiating from this point on out.
You'll still be here.
Oh, yeah, I'll still be here. That way you won't have to take offensive to my remarks.
Just the tone.
Because I want to make sure I've got some freedom of speech.
No,
He'll be the one having to throw the yellow pages.
we do have a question before you leave. You received an email from the four of us. Do you want to talk about that?
We're looking into it
Before
in regards to the payday on the.
December.
Yes.
Last one.
We're looking into it, discussed it very thoroughly today. There's some issues that exist with it, just are internally with us, and getting some of those things done. Yeah, but I'll have an answer for you.
Our main concern are if you want to change it to
It's
that,
not
that's
as
fine.
easy as what you think and just saying, I declare this day payday.
No, I know. It's just that word could have came down a little earlier, so maybe some families could have planned a little better. Instead of now being 2 paychecks out from Christmas, they're just one. And there were teachers in tears over the situation, so that's why we
Is there a
drafted
change
We
it.
sent that out
this
last
year?
spring, we sent that out
I
last
think it's been out there a couple, I know of 2 times.
I don't.
No, we
ever
never
remember.
received it until
Never
the other
got
day.
it. Never got
Ever
it.
received it, and people were not happy, not happy.
But that has been the practice for many,
8
many
years.
years.
The
Since
practice is
2008,
what it
what?
is.
right.
To pay
To
prior.
get it on the last working day, so we always got paid the
Before
last day that
Christmas.
we
I
worked.
can probably
always did
guarantee you this, it will not be that last working day, which is this year, that Tuesday. Could it be that Friday?
I
That'd be
think the
better.
concern was having it before Christmas, just for budgeting purposes. They've had their budget the last 8 years and they've done it a certain way. It's not probably as big a deal with some families, but I know, like I said, we all heard the same thing. I let it float until I started hearing feedback. And when people come in tears and you can tell the stress about it,
We're
because
not-
now they're one instead of two.
Yeah, we're not ready to give you,
Okay.
right now, it's
Right.
still set for the end of the month, but we're looking into it.
Okay.
That's the best thing I can tell you. We had extensive discussion on this morning.
Even if it's just one more year, and then they know forever.
Right.
Is that
would
gonna
be-
come back, are you gonna go back to them directly, or are you gonna come back to
I
United
think that becomes an
SJSD?
administrative decision
Do you think that will be a topic that people want to talk about at our United
on
meeting?
the
I don't-
17th.
Well, I think-
If there's not have an answer, they
As
probably
Dr.
will.
Newhart said, that's an administrative.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not a
Okay.
United SJSD, but it is
I
something.
feel like we
that-
could
It's
bring
a
it up to
big
discuss
concern.
the future, what
And-
that looks like.
And the thought of this whammied them to the point of tears or whatever, then they'll know if we do it one more year, then for next year. So you've been whammied, you've been told. You say they were told in the
Well, and
spring,
if
I don't
you're,
know. I
if they
wasn't.
know a year in advance that, they
Well,
can plan.
Wes,
things
what do you have to
in
say on
water.
the subject?
I'm not making any comments right now.
I'm sure, because it's your department's
It
gonna
causes a
just,
lot of problems for my department. doing it the way we're doing it right now, the way we've done it in the past. It causes tremendous problems. You guys don't, again, it doesn't matter, it only affects 2 or 3 people. So.
But you do matter, and your
It
department does
doesn't-
matter.
I think it's
Payday
like
is the last business day of the month. It needs to be the last business day of the month, every single month. We need to stop making concessions for all these things. We're just trying to stay consistent and be fair to everybody.
And we do understand that, Les. We do.
But that was not communicated.
Were you here
and
last
again, the
Christmas?
precedent
Yes.
has been.
Okay, because I'm not sure when Wes came in, that's why I'm asking. So you did this last year, and so now
No,
you're saying.
last year whatever they said.
Yeah, the last
The
day
last
of
working
school.
day.
Last
Well, seeing
working
that,
day.
what we're hearing is float, they've all, the district, they're wanting to float this so they can pick up that interest on the money. And that's what people are out there,
Oh, good
you know.
grief.
Well, but you gotta understand,
it's
millions of dollars
reality.
floated over a short time.
If I were griping, I'd be saying, I need it before Christmas
I
to
know,
buy my
but-
kids' Christmas
Actually,
present.
Todd,
that's
that's a
the
very
budget.
good point.
It is.
That didn't even
No,
dawn on me.
float's
$10
$2,000 a
days, 10
day.
days worth of interest you're losing.
That's
It-
right.
It is,
So-
$1,700 a day.
it is possible to have it adjusted, yes. We're looking into it, we'll get back with you on it.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good,
But then will you be very specific that if you adjust it that next year?
yeah.
It will be the-
We'll get back with Mark.
Yes.
So, okay,
We'll pass the ask to Wes, how
Okay.
that and his team.
Thank you.
because we have to be fair to
Thank you.
Wes.